Welcome to Las Doctoras podcast, featuring your favorite profas, bringing women and gender studies topics out of the university and onto the kitchen table.
I am Christina. My ancestors are from the land of Chiles Picosos, copper and turquoise, from the land of islands and painted people, and from the land of Coyoshaki and Coatlicue, Chicana, Pinay, queer, Sha, Aya, traveler, earth, mama, bruja.
I'm Renee. My ancestors reign from the land of Cempasúchil, Chocolate, the home of the monarch butterflies, as well as from the lands of contested borders and lost histories. Mexicana, Tejana, Chicana, she, her, ella, mama, bruja, scholar, and scribe.
Together, we are the academic and word brujas, creating revolutionary spaces outside the walls of the ivory tower to cast spells, read the ancient texts, and tell our sacred stories. We make this magic as an offering to our ancestors, to those who will come after us, and for the change we wish to see in the world. Salud!
We're here. Hello. Hopefully folks can tell us if they're hearing us. This is our first time going live.
Feels very grown up and also not.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
We're having lots of technical difficulties. This is our first time ever going live, so we're just trying to figure it all out. We're coming to you here from Lakewood, Tongva Land, my home. Yay, they can hear us. Here, come in a little closer.
Okay.
We want to make sure we're both framed in and that we're speaking into the mic.
Hopefully this is the first of many, so we've got this beautiful setup. Hola, Dane. Oh, so beautiful. Gracias.
Oh, and we got a shout out. So our intro music is by
The Corner House.
The Corner House.
Foreign Fog is the track, and we love it so much.
And thank you, our dear friend Dane, for allowing us to use that music. So we're here.
So wonderful.
And we did take our little shot of tequila. as our lighting goes in and out.
The ancestors are talking to us even as we record right now. So, good. Thanks. Gracias, Cindy.
So I think we want to start with some of where do we want to start? First, we have to say, so this is episode 1 of season 5. We are celebrating 4 years as Las Doctoras, 4 years of the podcast, going into our 5th season, which is astonishing. Yeah. And I believe this will be episode 48.
Oh, so glad you looked it up. That feels just so perfect, doesn't it? I mean, honestly, and here we are together. I can't, just so many beautiful blessings along these last 4 years. It's just hard to even begin to talk about it. And but I love that, again, I always say this, I love that we still love talking to each other. We love still talking about new things, and so we're gonna talk about some of those later in this live. And there has been some really great synchronicities, I think, in our lives, our personal lives, and in our academic, and our, in our professional life. And so I love you.
Oh, I love you too. You didn't tell me you were gonna do well emotional.
I don't know. I mean, that's where I go. I go like this like metaphysical place when when we talk about anniversaries. So yeah.
Yeah.
You always you show love in so many wonderful ways. So maybe this is
my love language
special.
is different, but or no, I mean my love language is definitely words of affirmation. So
Yeah.
I received that. Thank you. I love you too.
I know.
But let's start with what are we starting with? Our personal updates?
Yeah, we can. I think that sounds good. Good, actually. Can we start? Can we draw a card first? Can we draw a card?
Let's draw a card. Yes, we are drawing from the Oracle deck.
Gracias,
the Oracle
Claudia.
Jade. From the Oracle Jade deck.
Yeah.
And let's just see. We did not pre-pull a card, so we'll see what comes up.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what's meant to come up for us. All right, here we go.
Oh, thanks, that name.
Chipe Totec, the flayed one.
Oh, scheiße.
Nuestro Señor.
Oh my goodness, I don't know.
Desarrollado. Let's see.
Oh, Veronica Iglesias, we're just so grateful for you. And this card is
these cards are always like really positive.
This is the one though. This is the one Jaguar doesn't like.
Oh my!
It's a bit much. Can we just like?
Yeah. Show it.
Ooh,
so it says Chipe Totec. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is the flayed one. He embodies the idea that the continuity of life is dependent on sacrifice. For to receive, we must give. Linked to both war and agriculture, during the festivals in his honor, religious leaders would wear the skin of a sacrificial war captive, representing the earth in the dead, dry season of winter. Just as the maize seed loses its outer layer before germination, the outer skin is cast off and the new growth bursts forth. Chipe Totec is a complex figure embodying broad concepts of life, death, sacrifice, and renewal. Chipe Totec is a reminder of the interdependency of existence, that you must give and not simply take. Plants, animals, the cosmos, everything in life depends on your gifts to continue. Death is not an end, but always a beginning. The seed from the dead corn plant is the promise of corn.
This is like either I was thinking as you're talking the death card.
This is the death card in the tarot.
And and I love that. So that's it. Also makes me think of the redwoods and the Sierras. Like needing the fires in order to. And actually, someone was reminding me about that in New Mexico, where we had all the wildfires. That that in that fire is new life, and so we're Phoenix.
Yeah. Which I actually think speaks so much to our personal stuff that we've been, that we've both been kind of dealing with. Or what's the word?
We did not prep this either, but I think this is important for us to get into. Just what's the narrative? What's the story?
The story is we just. When we talk about cycles of life, there's cycles where we talk a lot about menstrual cycle, moon cycle, and the full moon energy, which is ovulation energy. But we know we can't be in that energy all the time.
I'm ovulating now. I just wanna...
And so we have to go into the depths of winter. Yeah. Sometimes we have to burn the tower card, shit has to burn down in order for us to rise from the ashes. And I think we both had, both personally and then together as a business, had a tower moment. I think that's the best we can say.
I think that's true. And I think that we are in the midst of like the buds, we are definitely in that space.
Yeah. Coming out of the tower moment. And a lot of I think our personal experiences are probably going to be the things that we're going to speak to this season in the podcast.
Heck yes. Yeah. And so I know we talk about it in different ways. Language, we're trying, we are earth magic scribes, magic writers, like really leaning into that. And so I think some of the language we want to lean into is we have been reprioritizing given the death, and again, as we say, death coming from that cyclical like understanding of it, not from like a linear place, right? And so that's why that this card is so powerful for us, because it's just
for sure.
And it speaks to the work, because it's been some good work that we have done, again, personally and professionally, but in both coming back, seeking community. We've reached out in so many ways to the people that we love and trust, gotten their messages, gotten their support, and then done some reassessing.
I mean, I think we can be a little
more direct.
Maybe. I think in our personal lives, at least, there's been burnout. Let's call it that way, right? So there's been burnout. And I think it's important for us to name too that that's partly both our day job and this, right? And Las Doctoras. We're still navigating capitalism, and we're still navigating patriarchy, that as much as obviously we're always about like how can we create liberation and moments of liberation and live into that, it obviously still has its limitations. And so I think that we both just really had some burnout. And being in the burnout, it was like, how do we heal from, it was just survival. I think during the summer, we were like, we just need to live day to day. And now we're able to have perspective, both on our personal lives and on our professional lives, and say, okay, how can we create a life that is not going to continuously have us in burnout all the time. And both in like our family dynamics and in our work dynamics. And I think that has been particularly important for us as Las Doctoras, right, as our business, because we created it to give us freedom. And then again, the call of capitalism and scarcity and all of those things sometimes is really hard to get out of. And so it took a moment of burnout for us to be like, whoa, we need to slow down, reassess, figure out what it is that what are like prioritize, what are the things that are most important to us, and how do we make all the things that we want to do work around those priorities versus the other way around.
Yes. And it was a little bit of and a little bit of that death, right? A little bit of like just like kind of removing,
pruning. I've been liking that word lately.
Yeah, it's the fall, right? We were talking about just letting the leaves fall, just letting them go, and actually, many limpias, right? To let go, many, because I think that's important. And I love that. And so that brought us, if it's not time, I'm like, oh gosh, do we have to talk about the personal stuff more? I mean, we should probably. I'm like, what else is there to say?
I think we can talk about the personal stuff when we get into what topics we're going to be covering throughout this season. But I think for now, we can just let you know that
I got like fright flight, I'm like, go run away from that. That's why this podcast is so good for me.
But I will say that this live thing is a layer of like vulnerability, which is why.
But I think you can see that we both love the performativity of this.
Or else we wouldn't be professors.
We are totally coming into that in the future. Like that's something we're calling in. We're calling that back to us, right? To that part of us that loves to
do this. Yeah. So I think as far as Las Doctoras, we are really pruning and reassessing and reprioritizing, and that means that there are some things, parts of our business that we are going to be, what did we decide? We're going to be putting on sacred pause.
I love it. Yeah. And we can thank I think we thank June for that, right? Yeah. Our business coach, our life doula, sacred pause on the St. Lunita magazine, and also the book club. Both of those spaces we love them. And we are, I guess my language around that is, letting go of like kind of that more admin things that we kind of can give our energy to, which we put a lot of energy to in our personal lives with our children. And so I think maybe, and maybe from that, actually, I mean, I think if we weren't moms, it would be a little bit different.
Oh yeah. If we didn't have the huge responsibility of motherhood, we could keep doing those things. But I think, I think St. Lunita magazine, just so we're clear, it's there. It's living and it'll be on there. We are just not, we're putting a sacred pause on creating new additions, but it's there. It's living, it's breathing for everyone to continue to look at. And there's I mean, we did, I want to say like 5 or 6 editions. And so there's a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah. And so I think we'll keep on like shouting that out, getting it out there, I think, in the ways that we can. I think also the book club too. We've had this beautiful run in the last 2 years and bringing famous people we didn't even think that we could bring on, on. And we hope to get those, the recordings out there in different ways too. But also just putting that sacred pause on that for just a little bit so that we can focus our attention on
this. Well,
and then we've also been putting a lot
we've
of
been putting
on.
Maybe some of you here, whoever is listening to this, the Brujas Summit, we have to say, let's talk about that. So the Brujas Summit,
I'm just doing this a little bit.
I know for sure. Like, I mean, here's another salud to that, right?
Salud.
To the Brujas Summit right there. Whew, we've got some 1942 here in case anyone is wondering what we're drinking. If they want to sponsor us. I mean, we have to first acknowledge that Christina, we're here live together. Like, we are in person.
Here.
The last time, I think, was my birthday, right? In July was the last time we were like face to face. So that's like a huge exciting thing. The fact that we're like in person, and maybe we will be in person.
We're continuing to work on this. Yes. I know.
Oh yes, people starting at the summit. So the summit, like, I mean, what is there to say? It was definitely something that we've been birthing for over a year now. I want to say that we had been like thinking about, and we straight up had an attempt at the beginning, like in January.
We put the call out and everything didn't seem like
the timing just wasn't working. The timing wasn't working, and we said, you know what, let's just wait. And we gathered all the things that we needed to gather. And interestingly enough, though, right, like right when we started experiencing our tower card, our burnout, was when we were like, let's plan the summit now. Let's like so yes, we were, but I mean, I want to be very clear and transparent. So we had a lot of behind the scenes help, right? So if you were in our closing ceremony for the Brujas Summit, you heard us shout out Christy Garcia and her team at All Out Virtual. They're our virtual assistant, and they did everything, the whole website, all the links, all the emails. I'm like, they did everything behind
posts, Instagram
posts,
recordings, like those little vocal recordings that got out there. Things that I don't know how. It's magic. It's magic to me.
It shows up and we're like, cool. So that we could just focus on scheduling the interviews, doing the interviews. And then I think we wrote some of the copy, a little bit, but we got to focus on our magic. And so in the middle of like our burnout, we had everything was already planned, and that was the thing that was
Maybe
so
this
beautiful.
really was a birth. Like, just thinking like, okay, so like, second trimester, we were feeling kind of good. We're like, oh, let's put this, let's do it, and then like, that third trimester, we're like, okay,
fuck it,
let's get this baby out.
Like, I can't do it. And then transition.
Yeah,
right?
how's that gonna happen? I remember I was like,
Well, I think the beauty of it was because we had kind of tried it out at the beginning of the year. There was so much already there. So then when we gave it the green light, and it
got so much quick response. Actually, so much like I'm in, and we were like, oh,
and that fed us.
That's actually what we look for. Actually, I think that's also something that we're also recognizing, that, we're listening to community when they say they want something, and or when something resonates, and when it doesn't come back, and so that was part of it, right? That fed us, that feeds us.
Yeah.
Having you all life here that feeds us. It totally does.
Yeah. So the summit, once we started getting yeses, we're like, okay, cool. And then the
So
truth
glad.
the truth is that too, that once we got to a certain point in the planning process and we were able to say, okay, cool, we feel good, let's take a month off. And that is the truth. It was hard.
So hard.
It was very, very hard, but
You need therapists next time.
I had a therapist.
I know. I was like, I need funding for a therapist in July.
Yeah, July. We said no. I even made Christina change the password.
She did.
On our email so that I wouldn't be tempted to go and look at it. I was like, I can't keep doing it.
I messaged directly our VA team, like, this is the new password.
Don't tell Renee. I had to put boundaries, or it was self-imposed boundaries, but it was really important.
So good.
It
was.
Good.
I want to just affirm that. I don't, it's not like
there's nothing shame. I don't not
shaming that. We're actually like celebrating.
It was what I needed. And I think, we took, I want to say it was like a good 4 or 5 weeks. Was it 4 weeks, 5 weeks? We took a good amount of time where it
might have been 5 weeks.
I think it was like a good 5 weeks where we just no answering emails. Everything was like automated emails.
Yeah.
Again, because so much planning had already kind of been established that we were able to do that. And then we came back in August and then it was like go time for the summit. But I think because we had that time off and we had so much, our VA team was able to take care of so much stuff while we were gone that when we came back, there was definitely a renewed energy.
Yeah.
And it felt good. It felt good coming back and we were able to kind of focus. And so then I think
it felt great. Can I just say?
Yeah.
Like taking a break from work. I mean, it's lovely. But it's like you need like a vacation from your vacation or something like that. And I think that's why I say cue the therapist, because I think when I'm not working, I can deal with all the things that I have not dealt with, and so they just kind of
and then it gets scary.
Is, oh my god, like what's this and this, you haven't talked to me about this, and I'm like, okay, I hear you, and I and giving her time and attention, and then being like, okay, I'm going to give you more attention later. We're going to step into work or my work. My work is going, our work, it's work, what we're doing. It's also joy. It's also creativity. And it's all these things we're really trying to lean into, and making sure that we do that also is for you, Interniña, too. So I'm going to do that work. So, but it did feel really good to be like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. And so August, like, end of August, September, October, we were doing interviews almost pretty much up until we went live with the summit.
Amazing interviews, right? Amazing. Like, I mean, when I was in the midst of them, I was just like, oh, you were.
I know. Because we, again, we had this idea and we weren't sure how it was going to come to life. And so every interview we did, we're like, yes, this is what we want. This is what we were hoping for.
Yes.
Our guests were saying the things that we were thinking, but weren't sure. And so, and they even articulated it in
giving new language.
Yeah. In ways that we couldn't even do. And so it just, and then I think once we went live with the summit, that was another level of like, people are really responding to it. This was something that people really wanted and really needed.
Renee and I were such good girls for such a long time. I think it's, our nervous system has to take such a long time to, and even then, I know when we were recording was one thing. When we were putting out there was like, okay, let's protect,
I know we would get
protect
nervous.
ourselves. We got to protect, we need to, and, but what we found was, what we're hearing in the chat here is just resonance, like healing along with us. The power of like bringing, so many healers together. Who radical, political, people, medicine healers together was just something you saw, and I think it turned out so beautifully.
Yeah.
More than we could have imagined. Truly.
For sure. And I think, because there was still a little bit of it, like imposter syndrome or doubt, like who are we to put on this summit? But I think that we've always said, our gifts are creating spaces,
Yeah.
creating the space of the podcast, creating the space of the book club, creating the space of the magazine. It was always about creating spaces to then highlight
Yeah.
the voices in our community,
Yeah.
to be a bridge to those who need to
Yeah.
I think partly because as academics we have always felt privileged in having access to spaces, access to information, access to
Yeah.
knowledge, access to scholarship that
Mhm.
isn't accessible outside of that space. And we always want to be that bridge between that information and and an audience and those who pay attention to us.
Yeah.
And so I think that was our intention with the summit, was to just create this space for all these brujas, healers, curanderas to come together, say their
Yeah.
share their wisdom, and
Mhm.
then for us all to just I think we're just curators. Like that's what we're curating spaces, because if anything, that's what we learned how to do in academia, right? Is to curate.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the privilege, right, that we can create this platform, and
Yeah.
that yeah, it's
Yeah.
something that's our responsibility too,
Yes.
and so
A responsibility for sure.
just like highlighting, hey, have you heard about this person? Like,
Yeah.
have we had this conversation yet? And how can we not compete against each other, and how can we come together, in our empowerment to like
Yeah.
create greater births and creativity and like strength, within each other. And I love this. There's so many great little
I know. I'm
feedbacks.
like,
So
if anyone has, I
nice.
think we're like, if anyone has questions.
We totally can answer some of those questions now. We'll create a Q&A time. I wrote it down.
Okay,
for
we're
later
gonna
but
okay.
still, any thoughts that you have, please make sure to pop them in the chat. We're learning how to be more interactive like that.
I know. I'm
on
like,
the
there's so many. I'm
fly,
like,
and it's it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like trying to read, but I think the response in like the Facebook group, for example, when people would go in there, I was like,
Dang.
and
Shout out to Dorian.
oh yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
Dorian, who was our moderator and was on top of it every
Blue Dream
morning.
Bruja, I think. Yeah.
Blue Dream
Mhm.
Bruja, and people sharing their stories and sharing how they're I love, somebody said something like, oh, we're navigating the bruja wound, and I was like, yeah, that's it. And so again, it felt really nice to see that what our intention was being met and beyond. Right.
And the closing, the opening, one thing, so many people came that we didn't, more than we've ever
had on a
addressed
Zoom
live before. And then at the closing, one of our speakers came, and we just happened to want to highlight some of her work, the Jade Oracle deck, and it just felt like the ancestors, like we said, about us, like they conspired to bring us together.
Yeah.
That closing ceremony was a moment where we could not have orchestrated that.
Yeah, we couldn't have planned that.
It was done, for us. Yeah.
But I think that brings us to kind of coming off of the energy of the Bruja Summit.
Yeah.
And again, reassessing after our Tower card moment in this summer, to say, where is it that we want to prioritize our energy? And I think that the podcast has always, it's like, we did 4 seasons. It's like a cycle, right? If we think about it in 4 seasons, right? 4 elements, right? Totally. And so we're starting a new cycle, right? In this 5th season, kind of getting back to basics. I don't know if that's
you mentioned that before, and we know with the kids and everything, and I think that's actually awesome. I love how you
like, we're coming
when I'm like 7 generations, like you always say, I love that you always bring back the 4, because I think that is powerful. It does feel, we started before COVID, way before COVID, right? But then like these last 2 years
have been, we last 2 years in the middle of COVID.
Just
I know time is
forever.
Time is like an illusion, but I feel like so much of this season is like almost like, let's get back to some of the things that we've already talked about, but because we have like new perspective, and how can we speak to those topics in new and different ways? Who do we want to talk to now, that now we know so many more people and have been in community
Yeah.
with so many different people. Like, who do we want to talk to? I think we also can say, I think we can maybe there's the soft opening of our new website.
Oh yeah. Oh Lord, yes, that is coming out
Well, you can go. I mean, it's there, but
anytime now. No, I don't think so. It says it says it's
no, it's good.
it's working.
No, it's good to go. I promise you.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Lastdoctoras.com. So LASDRAS.com. That's what we're moving forward with. And
Yep.
And it's up and it's working, and it's
We're
gonna be
still-
working
I think-
even better and better.
Yeah, I think we're
as the
still kind of
time-
working out a few different things, but for the most part, everything is there. And
Mhm.
yeah, we want to shout out Christina of Peanut Media, who redesigned our entire website over the summer.
Gracias.
And
Gracias,
then
Minerva.
our VA team
Also
kind
a
of
fabulous writer too. I just want to
yeah.
just want to let you know, Christina. We can't wait to put some of your writing out there.
Yeah, I mean that's a cute story that she was coming into our writing course,
Yes.
and I met with her, and she was like, "Oh, I'm a web designer," and I was like, "We need a new website."
Also, that for some reason, Honeybook kept scheduling you interviews or a moment to talk.
Oh
with
yeah, it was
her.
like the ancestors really wanted us to talk with her.
And we
so
were both
that-
like, did you? Nope. Did I? Nope. No one seemed to organize that,
yeah,
but it happened.
like her name kept showing up on
Yeah.
our schedule,
Yeah.
and it was meant for us to and so she redesigned our website, her team at Peanut Media, and it was I mean it's beautiful and
Oh yeah, it does
better
look
than we could have
beautiful.
ever done.
Look at that.
Considering our last website was like something that I kind of did, but this
which
is
was beautiful too. But yes, upgrade,
up
yeah.
level.
So you'll check on there. It'll be updated soon
Yeah.
to actually showcase some of the things that more things that we're working on, because I think we be guest speaking, like, right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes. Well, we've been doing a lot of guest speaking for our Cal State Union, which is CFA, which has been really cool. And we're actually going to be bringing some of those workshops that we did with them to the public.
Yeah.
And
then bringing some of the work we do in sacred writing and writing to our ancestors to grad students.
Yes, we're hoping to be doing a version of our course with grad students, which I think is what we've always been wanting to do.
Yeah.
Like, we want to work with grad students.
We want to be the person we needed when we were in grad school.
Yeah. So I think in terms of, well, we can come back to the podcast and what we plan on talking about. But I think in terms of events, we can say we have,
we have
our
the retreat coming up
in 2 weeks. No, in a week. In a week
in a week from today.
In a week from tomorrow. A week from
the
Sunday.
11th, I guess, or something.
Yes. So there's still
it's a mini retreat, 3 hours. We bring the gifts that we bring in the larger courses to this retreat, so you can get a taste of it. This includes the grounding, some space to kind of lean into our imagination and away from like the rules that we've been taught, so that we can come into our writing voice and tell our story.
Yeah. And you can find that on our new website, lasdoctoras.com/events. So LASDRAS.com/events.
And then
I think
this is going to be a powerful workshop.
Workshop.
It has been, and I think bringing it to the public, I think is going to be even more.
I just want so the name of the workshop is Writing to Heal from Gendered Violence.
Yeah.
So this is a workshop that we've been doing for our union for CFA. There's been lots of stuff going on in the Cal States, but so I'll read our little description here. We will explore the naming of rape culture and confront the ways it permeates our lives. We will then use testimonio writing as a healing method to envision a liberating future.
That's it. That's it. We wrote that.
You wrote that.
No, that's the power. That's powerful though. And I think, like, we talk about ancestors and we really kind of open the doors on what that word means. I think we also want to open the door when it talks about rape culture.
Yeah.
So, right, there's all these micro and macro aggressions around rape culture. And so please, just know that it is expansive. And we also assume that if you were born femme at birth, female at birth, that you have experienced rape culture. Like no one has gone without this, you know. So
yeah. And so I think, and we're centering healing, like
yeah,
you know, part of it is definitely naming the experiences, but the most important part for us is like, how do we move from naming rape culture into a healing space? And you know, obviously writing as a healing method is our magic, right? That's our magic. And so that's what we're going to be doing. And so that's on December 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. PST.
I think is that the 11th?
Yeah, Sunday, December 11th.
Oh, nice.
And again, you can find that on our website, lasdoctoras.com/events. And if you missed the Brujas Summit, or if you joined but were not able to finish watching the videos, you can purchase the Brujas Summit through our website for $47, and you get all the videos, including the opening and closing ceremony. And we have a package deal where you can get our writing retreat and the Brujas Summit for $127 and invite a friend for free. I'm like, this is the best deal. $127.
It's a really
you
good
get
deal.
You get two big, huge events, and you can invite a friend for free.
We think, invaluable, really. But yes, you know, offering into our community at making this accessible, and also just valuing us too. You know, I think we're learning.
Which brings us to
actually, I want to say your question, Catherine, actually really.
How do you balance practicing with? I'm like, I need my glasses.
With the care and responsibilities of parenthood.
So I'm like, that's
nice
a good segue.
Yeah, thank you.
Into
this is our season 5, and you know, one of our main topics is parenting. You know, I have a 7-year-old. Renee has a 7-year-old and I always forget.
He's 9. He'll be 10 at the end of December.
So Christmas. That's right.
Yeah.
Capricorn.
Yes. So
Renee has a Capricorn and Aries. I have a Libra. Just to be clear.
I know. I'm like, that's Earth.
Yeah.
Wind and fire.
Yeah. Just look at that.
I know.
Just
like,
a little.
Hold on.
It goes a long way. That was beautiful. It wasn't. I mean, that was the best. Like, now we're digressing, but man, that was a really good Renee.
One, huh? Yeah. So that's a very good question. How do we do it? I don't know. I don't know how we do it.
Truly,
it's part of the reason why we experienced burnout, because, you know, there's early childhood that had its own particular challenges that I think we kind of like. That's when we first met, and we were navigating early childhood, and I think on some level we were able to kind of get a grasp, and now we're into like, you know, they're in the grades now, and so now it's a new dynamic, and we're like, they need a whole different type of attention, and so it shifted. A lot of things shifted, and so we are like now figuring out how do we shift now to what it means to be parents of, you know, kids, not babies, right? Not toddlers.
Yeah, and also, like, you know, people assigned male at birth and who love being boys, you know, and it's so interesting. So in our Writing to Our Ancestors course, our final one is Sunday. There are most all of us are parents of boys, and so that's gonna be part of our work with parenting. Is
part of our season 5 is gonna be to
part of our opportunity is to go into that
to I'm getting texts. Speaking of parenting, this is a real moment. I'm getting texts from.
They're going to be here in 10 minutes, so we got.
So that'll be interesting.
Okay, we're all good.
Live parenting stuff happening. So this is how we're dealing with it, right? Like sometimes.
And honestly, I think what we can say is it's the honesty of that, you know, like the transparency around that, and also we have people we talk to, right? I just think I want to shout out Leslie of Latinx Parenting, who I continue to need to talk to. And
sometimes I just send her random texts and I'm like, get back to me when you can, but I'm having this issue.
Yeah. and into each other, you know, and so this and again, some of the people in our community are older, are mothers of older kids, so we can lean into them too. I think there's a lot there.
Yeah.
But it is something that we still don't know.
And I want to say
And
part of the reason for me too wanting to come back to parenting is because I'm also navigating kids
Mhm.
that have within the last couple years, well, my oldest at least has
Mhm.
been diagnosed with a learning disability, and so I feel like that's taken me on a very different journey. And then my youngest son, we're kind of going through the process of assessment for possible learning disabilities, and so there's just been a lot to navigate with that. And I think
Yeah.
we want to, and that's a conversation, even just in talking to other parents,
Yeah.
that there's still shame and stigma around learning
Yeah.
disabilities and around what that means, and especially what it means within the educational system. And so there's a lot that we want to explore within parenting, both from a like how we're personally handling that, but also
Yeah.
these new dynamics that we're dealing with, very specific dynamics, right, that we're
Yeah.
dealing with. So parenting is, I'm like, what else do we got on our list here? Parenting is definitely a big topic.
And a part of it, masculinity. And again, a follow-up question. Oh, hi, Salisa. Is around raising healthier boys. And we talk about this a lot. We talk about like, you have rebel girls. How do we create like compassionate boys or healthier boys? I think that's probably the way.
Yeah. And I'm gonna manifest this.
Okay.
I've been really wanting to talk to Justin Baldini.
If I was anyone, like, are you talking about femifesting?
No, femifesting. I'm going to
actually manifesting.
So Justin Baldini is an actor. He was in Jane the Virgin, and he wrote a book, Man Enough, and he has a podcast, Man Enough, where he explores masculinity.
Y'all gotta check out the interview with Alok. That's all I gotta say. That's
no, that's an amazing one. And he just wrote a book for boys. Yeah. He wrote a book for young boys, and I think that would be.
Does he have kids?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I think he's got a son and a daughter, but but he wrote a book for little boys, and I thought that would be a really, again, because I mean, I think we've said this before, but I did not imagine I was going to be raising boys. I thought I was going to raise these little
rebel
Chicana
girls.
Feminists, and here we are with these, and who are very clear in their boyhood too, like very clear in their gender.
So interesting. Yes.
Yeah. And so what does it mean for us as feminists to be raising these little boys to both
raising feminist boys
to step into their own femininity, but also understand the responsibility and the privilege that they carry no matter what. And
we put a lot of time into this. I just want to affirm us. I'm gonna affirm you. I'm gonna affirm like us. Like, even though like sometimes it feels like I want to do so much more, I think this, we are doing it, and we have done it. We are doing it. Like the time and effort. Just
I want to shout out Cruz's, my oldest son's first grade teacher, who we just had a parent teacher conference, and she said, so she's basically the only Latina teacher at this school. Yeah. And the first thing she said in our conference was, she said he's the reason why I got into teaching, because I want to teach little brown boys, and and she said that he's what our boys should be, very compassionate, empathetic. Of course, I was like, and she was crying,
so much.
And I was crying, and I was like, oh my god. And she's like, and that's, I know that's partially, your work. And I was like, oh, like for somebody to see and understand that that's such a big part of my intention.
I can see a lot of things from Renee's window, including her neighbor mowing the lawn. But now I can see the mom arriving.
So I'm just gonna text her.
Yeah, can you just hold on for just a second? Just like
it'll be 10 minutes. This is parenting on the go, parenting live. This is what we do.
So I want to say, just as a segue from into talking about masculinity, talking about our kids, what they're teaching us. So they're teaching us that we have to talk about masculinity. We have to talk about toxic masculinity. We have to talk about the masculinity within us.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be one of our core themes too.
And I think always coming back to like sexuality, which is so it's tricky. Yeah. It's tricky because
I think she just dropped her mouth.
I'm like,
nope. Are they pulling away? They're pulling away. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you everyone for all. This is, this is
You
this is
asked
real.
how do we
This is
do
real.
it? This is how we do
Yeah,
it. We
yeah.
pray and hope that
Yeah.
it all works out.
Does she know you're recording this?
Yeah, she does.
Okay, good. Okay.
What was it? No,
Sexuality.
wait, I
Right.
was just gonna say too, the other day you and I had a business meeting with our VA, and my kids really, so this is my office, but the kids have their desks in here too.
Yeah,
And they
it's
really wanted to be in
very
here
sweet.
like drawing. So they're like, if we stay really quiet, can we be in here? So you and I were having this full on like meeting, and the kids were just in here drawing. So
I mean,
it is what it is.
It's so
It
sweet
is
when
what it
they-
is.
when
And
they
we
are.
also have another one peeking through the door.
Oh, hello, my little jaguarcito. We're almost done, Papi. Almost, yes. And then, yes. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, again,
Nice.
I love it. So
Full circle.
a few more.
honestly.
I think a few more things that we want to be able to cover in this season is definitely
Yeah.
sexuality. I want to say that we do plan to. So in our very first season, our very first episode, we interviewed our dear friend Danelia, and we talked at that time. We talked about shame and menstruation, and I think that we are all kind of in this new, after 4 years, in this new relationship to that. So that's what I think see us as. Like we interviewed Leslie of Latinx parenting in season 1, so kind of coming back to some of these topics that we touched on in season 1 with the new perspective and the new lessons that we've integrated, and even looking at sexuality from a different framework.
Yeah, ready. We're so ready.
Yeah, and which is, it's been tricky because of obviously our religious backgrounds, and so
yeah,
if you go back and listen to the episode,
but the Bruja Summit, I feel like really kind of helped us with that too. But you're right, going back to those first episodes
where we're like tiptoeing around like
I kissed
our
a
sexuality,
girl and I liked it.
And now we're like, okay, how can we step into it more unapologetically and like, I think we want to also just complicate queerness, and talk to people who are I don't like to say experts in those fields, but let's just say have more experience in being able to articulate ideas around queerness and what that means and who
we're ready
that applies
to expand and to like live into in new ways. And wow, we are 50 minutes into this. I just want to say, and y'all are still hanging on, and I'm so grateful. And I wanted to leave some time for Q&A. I can think, nope, not happening.
I mean, if you want to chat,
do you want to meet everyone?
Oh, it's right there.
Sorry. I love you.
We're gonna note to our editor.
Yes.
Edit this out when it goes.
You're here for the live. Okay, it's that middle button, Papa.
Yeah, if you've got any questions, we are open to whatever questions you might have. Or, we should ask, what do you all want to hear about? What do you all want us to talk about in the podcast? What are some themes that you want us to speak to? Maybe who people that you want us to interview?
You got connections?
I know, right?
Just
connect us with some people. Yeah. I mean, we've got a list of people that we plan to talk to, and I think that's like on our to-do list.
It's a long list.
Next week is how do we figure out how to schedule all these people.
But it's exciting. And I think that for us, it's like, I don't know, we just want to talk, like, these aren't the people that, some of them are from old, like our old friends that we've talked to. We want to bring them back, but we also want to, like, there are new conversations we want to have. And so, and it's kind of, I mean, that's where we're perpetual students. That's like, where we're like, okay, how can
I think we just want to get back to talking even to each other, because like, if y'all were listening sometime, if y'all were a fly on the wall in our meetings, right? We talk, half of our meeting is like, okay, logistics, we have to do this, we have to do this. And then the other half is like, okay, so this happened. How do we unpack this? How do we, contextualize this within white supremacy and patriarchy, and then support each other? I mean, not that that's necessarily how it goes, but that's what it ends up being, right? Where we're bringing our own personal experiences
group
and
therapy,
then validating, like, no, girl, that's patriarchy. Don't feel bad. Don't feel shame. That's patriarchy, right?
For sure.
And vice versa,
And
right?
vice-
Where I'm like
yeah.
in my head, and you're
Yeah.
like, maybe you're much kinder sometimes, I think, than I am. You're like, maybe,
I
that's
was like, just leave that bitch.
Yeah.
Don't even.
you're like, maybe that's,
No, I don't say it
your
like that.
your
I'm
trauma
like,
response. And I'm like,
yeah.
you're. It takes me much longer. I'll
You're
come
like,
back like 2 weeks later. I'm
what
like,
would
you
your
were
inner
right.
Nina say?
Yeah. Yes. So I think that's what we want to
Mhm.
do, is kind of just bring those like candid conversations of how we're like working through, navigating through our own stuff,
Yeah.
again within the context of all these other things that we know are true.
Mhm.
And hoping that when we do that, people listening can also unpack their own stuff and
Yeah.
feel validated in their experiences.
And I mean, and then that all comes from our community too. When we hear some things that are happening within like this our comadres, and then like bringing it back,
Yeah.
like
Or
a resonating.
there's been a lot going on in pop culture and political culture.
Oh Lord, yes.
I mean, I really want to
Yes.
eventually get to talking about the whole Johnny Depp.
Oh no!
Amber.
I went to Disneyland the other day, and I went to Pirates of the Caribbean, and I was like, "Oh, I don't even want to look at you." Ooh,
Yeah. So we're gonna get into that at
Yeah, we
some
probably should.
point.
Raising feminist sons for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Scorpio.
Oh, Scorpio.
Oh, so beautiful. So much
I'm
water.
like, let's see what else. What else? With just a few minutes, I think we're just going to, I think lean back into simplicity, lean back into pruning, prioritizing, so that we can show up our best selves. I think that's what it is at the end of the day, is that we felt like a little stretched thin, and then we weren't able to bring our best selves to all the spaces that we were in. And so now we're like, we want quality versus quantity. And so how can we simplify in order to be our best whole present selves in all the spaces that we're in? And I think the podcast, because this is, I don't know, this is like,
it's where we started. That's where we love,
there's so much love in this space. And so we're like, let's get back to doing the things that we love and being able to make that, be its fullest potential, I think. So if anyone knows anyone who wants to sponsor, we do want to eventually monetize and maybe bring in some sponsors, or I think we want to be able to make the podcast sustainable. Just so everyone knows, we have never made money off of the podcast. Our writing courses have sustained everything pretty much. But we want to be able to make this podcast sustainable in a way that feels good and is in alignment with our principles.
I appreciate you naming that. I think that's where we've stopped in the future, because we're like, ugh, how do we, what? So we are asking for that from the, we're manifesting that. Grief, disenfranchised grief is coming up. It's gonna be there.
Thank you. That'll be there. I think grief is always an ongoing theme in our lives, because we've had to deal with so much grief. It's so central to our lives. Yeah. We need to do an episode on Oliver. We've never really done an episode.
I love that he came to mind on your said it, my Oliver dog.
Yeah, we never really got to have a full episode processing that. So we will be talking about grief. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel so seen. Dang it, I love this so much. Yeah. So thank you.
Yes.
For saying that.
Thank
you all for being here.
Thank you all.
Being with us this hour, through the kids. And I mean, not like there's no apologies around this.
No shame.
But it is just gratitude, for
the grace.
Yeah, that we can be us, and I think the space to be us, and for being here and witnessing this.
And I think I know, either if you're here live or those listening, we know we've had people who've been listening since day one.
Yeah.
And
if we don't know who you are,
love you.
Let us know.
Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for shouting us out. We have been so blessed to be acknowledged for this work, which feeds us to want to keep doing it. And so thank you to our ride or dies. Our day one. And thank you for all the new folks too. You know, again, you'll help us to continue to make this sustainable. And I think with that we can finish our little shot here.
Let's see if I can cue up the music. Are you ready?
All righty. As I like take down that shot. Woo woo! It's yeah.
Thanks, the Corner House.
I was just gonna say thank you again to the Corner House
and to our comadre, Dane. We love you. We're here for you.
Bye.